this week I'm going to be talking to you about asthma. Now, I've seen a few things on Facebook and I've experienced a few things in my life to back me up about people living with asthma and people not believing people with asthma. So I'm going to tell you my story. For years I went undiagnosed. I was diagnosed when I was 16, 17, but it took the doctors, I think, 4 asthma attacks for them to finally administer me with an inhaler with a reliever. I was boarding at the time at school and I was registered to the school doctor, but someone had suggested that it might be that, so my mum took me to the doctors, my old doctors at her near home, and they said I'd got asthma. I then went to the doctors, made an appointment to the doctors for school, and they told me I hadn't. So then subsequently I had 4 or 5 asthma attacks after that, and they finally sent through the nurse 2 blue relievers. What I didn't realise is that I should have had a preventer, which is either a brown or pink inhaler or whatever colour it is. There's loads of different types and different strengths. So years later I finally got a preventer, but even that wasn't strong enough and I was still having to use my blue inhaler. I didn't realise that you shouldn't use your blue inhaler at all, and it wasn't until my godmother had a serious asthma attack and ended up in hospital for weeks because of it. She came out and said when she was at home, you need to promise me that you will go to an asthma clinic, register yourself and go and get tested and get a proper diagnosis and give you the right prescription, because and then at that point I was using my blue inhaler maybe 5 or 6 times a day, which is ridiculous. So I registered, I went and they put me on Foster. So originally I was on the brown inhaler called Clenil, but then I went on to Foster and I haven't had to use my blue inhaler at all. I've been exercising, I've been running, not needed it at all, which is a complete difference and a complete life changer. Now, I've seen some things on Facebook that aren't necessarily nice, some articles. Now, I'm a larger girl, I'm trying to lose weight, but I've never been really unfit. I've always been active to some extent. I was on the netball team, hockey team, tennis team, rounders. I've always been active and I've been on teams, but I was always held back by the fact that I couldn't breathe. And people always thought it was because I was unfit. Well, I was on all these teams and I was playing these sports, and yeah, I'd have an asthma attack halfway through, but I still kept going, even though I couldn't breathe. And, I may look the way I look, but it doesn't mean that I'm unfit when I get out of breath. It tends to be, well, before I've got this inhaler, it tended to be that I was just, really ill. And people without asthma don't realise how scary it is, how, the amount of times I've cried because I couldn't breathe and I thought I was going to die. It's untrue. It's one of the most natural, basic things that your body does. You breathe to talk. You breathe while you're asleep. You breathe 24/7, and to not be able to do that is so scary. And people just think that asthma is an excuse. It's something that people just make up, that it doesn't exist. Well, it's horrific. It is a horrific illness, and people die from it. People have gone into comas because of an asthma attack. People die, and it's a serious thing. I wanted to make this video and share my story because I don't want people to go around thinking that, this larger person or skinnier person who's having an asthma attack is just putting it on, is just faking it for attention. because they're not. If they've been prescribed an inhaler, it's because they've got asthma and they need help. They need you to help them. And I'm sick to death of people judging others on Facebook and just in general life because they need these inhalers. You know, it's an unseen disability, really, because you can't tell when I'm going to suddenly have an asthma attack. It could just happen. I could swallow a bit of dust and I end up in a coma. You know, anything could happen. To have someone say nothing is wrong with you is a load of rubbish, and it's actually quite hurtful. One of the memories that will stick in my head forever, until I die probably, is when I was running around. We were in PE and we were made to run around the hockey pitch, and this one guy kept running around saying, "Lapped you." And he'd run around again and he'd say, "Lapped you." And he'd run around again and he'd say, "Lapped you." That is so hurtful, because at that point I wasn't even diagnosed. I knew something was wrong and I couldn't breathe. I couldn't run, because as soon as I exerted myself, I couldn't breathe even more, and it scared me. I was frightened. And to have him running around saying that to me was so hurtful. How can someone be that horrible? It's not fair. It's not right. And then literally, I think 2 months later, I was diagnosed. So it just goes to show how horrible people can be about something that's not even, you know, it's not noticeable. It's not noticeable. They just assume that you're unfit. It's not fair. And it really upsets me. And that memory will stick with me forever. It will. Because it's hurtful, and it's about something that's quite personal to me, because it's not a visible disability. It's something that is within, and I can't control it. If I hadn't have got it under control now, I might not have even been here. If anything, I just want this video to be out there to raise awareness for asthma sufferers and for people that think asthma isn't really a thing. And I hope that this, you know, at least reaches someone else that suffers with it, and goes through similar things that I do, and that everyone else that has asthma does. I just hope that next time, if you've been one of the people that are quite critical of people with asthma or think it's not a real thing, I hope that next time you rethink your actions and maybe be a bit more considerate. And yeah, I just hope that the message gets out there, and even if only 2 people see this video, at least I've informed 2 other people. If this has provoked any questions that you want to ask, feel free to comment. I will happily answer any questions, and I will see you next time. Bye.